Well, I'm going to hop right in. We have our cute light. It's making its debut.
That's awesome.
Really? I
You're
mean-
moving up. You're moving up in the world with this light. It's
and
awesome.
Shout changes colors.
Changes colors.
Shouts to our
It's
homie
great.
Austin.
Yeah,
for
shout out to
building
Austin
this.
Clark for making that.
That's
Thanks,
super
He makes
cool.
he makes pedals. Hey guys,
Hi.
Good to see you again,
dude. Yeah, it's been
And nice
A
to meet
while.
you.
It's been
Yeah, for sure. I met you briefly after the show. We went and
yeah.
had a quick
Yeah.
beer and everything. But yeah, I
okay,
wish I
yeah,
was
yeah.
here for the podcast.
It has been like 3 years. Can you believe that? It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I didn't catch you guys last time you were in town because it was in the Woodlands, and it's basically not Houston.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah,
might as well
definitely.
be not
Houston
Houston.
adjacent.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot has happened. There's a new album. There's 2 new Star Wars movies.
Right.
Game of
There's
Thrones is come and gone.
And Baby Yoda's
We have Baby
come into our
Yoda.
lives.
The world has a whole different place from the last time we spoke.
Right.
So I've got a lot that I want to kind of touch on.
Okay.
But out of just nerd's sake, the first thing
Get
I
it
have
out
to
of the
bring
way.
up, fucking Butch Vig.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Star Wars.
No, we're not gonna.
Baby Yoda.
I'm gonna go to the music nerd's sake first.
Okay, no, that's
Okay.
fine.
Because-
yeah, Butch Vig, man.
dude, like
The Butch Vig.
how, I mean, how is probably a question you've answered before, but and why is an easy question to answer, I'm sure. But
Yeah, we've known Butch for a little while. We met him years back. He came to one of our shows, and we kind of knew mutual people. And we like to change up producers like every couple albums, just to shake things up, just
Yeah,
to not
okay.
kind of like get too comfortable with somebody, and to challenge ourselves. And
But now we're never changing again.
well, yeah. Well, now, yeah, we kind of found our guy.
So
Found
it
our
really
true
was just
love.
kind of a matter of like
Yeah.
kind of hitting him up and be like, hey, would you do the next album?
Basically, it was
okay.
like so. Like I remember, and I don't know if Brian did the same with you, but I remember one day, like we were just talking, and he was just like, "What do you think of Butch, like to produce our next record?" And I'm like, "Dude," I'm
Like, of course.
"Of course,
Yeah.
man." And so then we
Something
kind
we'd
of
always been thinking about.
Yeah,
And then
it's-
our manager came up one night and was like, who do you guys want to produce your next album? Just like casually talking. And
Yeah.
like, we would love Butch too. And then
Yeah.
next
And-
thing you know.
and then it was literally like a text, like finally we kind of like our manager was like, well, I think Brian, you should get in contact with him, like here's his number or whatever, or I think he already had his number.
I think there were
because
emails-
they
there were
already
emails with
because
us
also
going back and
Brian
forth.
before this Brian did guest vocals on a Garbage song.
Yeah, so he had already
Okay.
worked
So
with
they,
them.
so he
Yeah.
worked
Yeah.
with them
Yeah.
that one time,
Got
and
it.
was so that's why it was
He was
very fresh
closer.
in his
Sure.
mind, and so then he literally just texted him and was just like, "Hey, you want to make a record?" And like his response, Butch's response was, "Yeah, man."
Sure.
Probably like no period there. too.
Yeah.
And that was like basically it, and it works out so well because. Jackknife, we love Jackknife, and he recorded our last 2 records. He lives in Topanga Canyon, which is from LA. It's like a good hour drive.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
It's the woodlands.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
like
Woodlands
the
Yeah.
Woodlands to Houston.
Yeah, basically.
the
and,
woodlands of,
and the first record, it was like
Silverland.
novel, and it was like, oh yeah, it's like we're going to a different place, but
which was cool.
which
and
yeah,
we
which we
enjoyed
can,
it.
but we can go home every night, which was awesome. But then the second record, we're like, oh, this commute sucks so bad.
Yeah.
It's
And,
brutal.
and so then it was also an added bonus that Butch lives like 5 minutes from all of our houses.
I would walk every day for the first 4 days. I just walked every day with a new bass. I
so
was like,
y'all
bringing all my
recording
stuff.
there.
Well, we did a lot of pre-production at his house.
Okay.
And he has his own studio.
Oh, yeah.
And as you can imagine,
Right.
with everything.
And it's
And
nice, yeah.
so we did a lot of the pre-production there, and a lot of that. And then we moved into a studio, just like 10 minutes away,
With
which
Billy,
is
yeah, right
even
across
closer
the-
to Nikki.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Billy Bush, it was Billy who Butch works hand in hand
Okay.
with.
Yeah.
And so we went to his studio.
I know you've touched on some of like the more positive sides of doing that. What are some of the weirder, more negative aspects of that? If you had to really kind of nitpick it, because it is an unusual way of
Yeah.
recording a record.
Nitpicking, I think, yeah, it's definitely nitpicky things.
Right.
I think there's more positives
I
than
enjoyed the
negatives.
space in between, so we
Yeah.
could really focus on, say, 4 songs, and then.
So it really was just all around.
And
a
we
great
knew,
experience.
and then
I
like
was-
in the second sessions that when we started up again, we kind of like had more of an idea of what we needed,
Yeah.
you know, so we
Got
could
it.
work on that. But I think the only thing is kind of like getting back into it. It kind of like messes the momentum up. You're kind of like, oh, I guess we're doing this again.
Sure.
But then you
You
get
kind of
back
get too
into
comfortable,
it.
and
Yeah,
but
no.
it's so easy. I mean, especially with Butch, like he's so fun to hang out with and just to be
Yeah.
around. So, just the whole experience, the first session and the second session, it was just like us hanging
Right.
and having a good time and also creating something.
But you know, he's probably like just
I mean,
getting
in his
gathering
head,
data.
yeah.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
computer's at work.
Like-
He would be talking to us, but then also talking to Billy about something really
Yeah.
specific, but then carry on a conversation about, a movie he just watched.
And
or,
also
know.
engineering at the
Also
same
And
there's
also
something- yeah,
engineering.
totally.
Like he would
He's
many
great at
times,
that.
and he's such a personable person that he let us invite people over all the time, and he had not guests,
Yeah.
but like friends hang out for a little bit, and so there's always just like someone there to hang out with, and it never threw him off.
Cool.
Like
Yeah.
he would be talking to all of us, and then like Billy would be in the front of the desk and like play something, and then mid sentence of talking to us,
Uh-huh.
he's like, "Hey Billy, what's that? Did
Yeah.
you hear that thing over there? Can you like, what is that? Like, let's try to get rid of that, or let's try to fix that."
Yeah, there was the one time when my in-laws came and my kids and Brian's son. And I was
whole
like, this
family.
is kind of, and then at some point I'm like, this is kind of intense for,
Yeah.
and Butch is still like not breaking any.
No, he's like, "What? Do you guys want any water? Do you guys want any
He's
snacks?"
constantly a
Like,
host too. It's
I mean,
Constantly.
I've seen so many like documentaries where he's a part of it, like making the record, that I'm like, I can almost see exactly what you're talking about. Like,
Oh, and that's another thing about him, which is super cool. It's like ask him anything about, Nevermind or Siamese Dream or any of that.
We know a lot of secrets.
and he's just he's an open book. He's like, well, the thing about that, and then just go off for like
You're just drooling, though,
Yeah,
like,
and
Yeah,
we're just
yeah.
like, oh my god, this is amazing. It's like we're just getting like a history course,
Right.
in alternative rock.
while making
While
an album.
working,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. This album is so, like, what are some things that you told him when, like, from the perspective of the band, what in terms of what you needed out of him? Because with this record, it seems like you guys really found this, like, sweet spot where you were able to kind of subdue some things, but then there's so much going on still that he's kind of the master of that. So was that one of the key points that you were going for in selecting him as a producer / engineer? Was like, hey, like, because again, like, it seems like you guys felt like a band, and he's very much about like the 4-piece and the 3-piece.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That is the nice thing about working with also is that he's in a band. He understands band
Right.
dynamics, and I think on a higher level than maybe other producers would, or he's constantly was asking us how individually, what did we want to work on? What are our personal what's our personal inspiration? And so I just think he took it to another level of trying to dig in to see how he could help us
Yeah, definitely.
record, just letting it all come out of us so that we were so much more open to
Yeah.
experimenting.
Yeah.
And even like for like having him as a producer and him being a drummer himself, it
Right.
was like it was being in the studio. We for drums we went to this place East West in Hollywood to get like the bigger room. We recorded drums there and strings, and being in that it's a very historic recording studio. Like the Beach Boys recorded there, the Carpenters recorded there.
Isn't that part of
like-
Frank Sinatra's studio outside of California?
Yeah,
I don't know.
think
It just
so.
has a
Yeah,
large
it has
history
like
to
a
it.
huge history, and to like be in there
Yeah.
and getting direction from Butch Vig and just kind of like sucking that all in. It was like such a great experience.
It's got to be cool because you guys are definitely not new to the game. Like, I know the band
No,
itself
yeah.
is approaching its 20th year. Like, I
Yeah,
know
we're in it.
Yeah, like, this is
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
This is the shit.
So it's
It's a good question to ask too, because I mean, I feel like a lot of people will just recognize the name because of the famous albums he's worked on and forget that it's not just about his status, it's about how well of a fit he is. And so it's
Sure.
Yeah.
But it's
really
cool to
shows.
hear you guys kind of nerding out, even though
Yeah.
you guys have been doing this for a while. Your experience, but you're still like me in that you'd be like, holy shit, it's Butch Vig.
It's
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
nice that he still wants to experiment. He's still looking for new stuff. He's not just dialing it in. It's like constantly, like he would, we would ask him something. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but just go in there and let's try it. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm excited to try
Yeah.
something different, or he always gave us
very
a chance
open.
to do whatever we wanted, and then he would hone it in.
Yeah.
But it was interesting and exciting to have that opportunity to just go for it.
What were some themes with this record? Because I know last album, when in our interview, we spoke about you guys kind of really wanted it to feel like, I think you said a horror, or was it like was it a spaghetti western? Like you said, you've been listening to a lot of like spaghetti western music, and you
Ennio
thought of it
Morricone.
as like a horror film. Was there
I
anything?
think the horror film was more neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We go from horror
Better-
film to spaghetti
Better
western.
Nature
Yeah.
felt more open.
Do we have a like any sort of parallel with this record that you guys were going for? Because I always loved that. And
Yeah.
Because with Better you can hear like the whips, and you can hear like these certain. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
there that
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, like Nightlight has that home.
Yeah, right.
All those guttural,
Right.
like
Vocals,
westerny
yeah.
things. I don't know.
Well, I think this part of what the meaning of Widow's Weeds, it's kind of like in a process of mourning, but almost this record takes it like mourning, but then coming out of it better and more positive. Like you have to go through some bad parts to get to these wonderful parts, and I think that's a little journey throughout the album.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Widow's Weeds is, I'm not sure if you know where it comes from, but it's like, it's the clothing that widows would wear, back in the, I don't know,
Long time ago.
time ago,
Back in
1800s or something like
they're
that.
black mourning
The black
clothes.
mourning
They call
clothes.
them widow's
Yeah, they
weeds,
call them.
so-
Yeah, and so that kind of like that in itself is like a.
It's intense to think about, and then you sort of take that mourning and just like make the most out of it and learn from it, and then come out in a better, more
hopefully.
refreshing,
I see.
positive
So mourning
light.
the old, but bringing
Yeah.
in the new.
Yeah,
Change, growth.
change,
Change and
growth,
growth,
yeah,
Okay.
and again, it just fits so well with like this being Butch's first album with us, and like how we, like even kind of musically, it's so much different than our last two records, and also kind of going back to like what
It's
we
the
used
nostalgia
to do.
too.
Yeah.
I feel a lot of our first albums. in this.
Really?
Yeah, we feel a lot of that in this album.
I love it. Star Wars.
Yeah, it always
Okay,
comes
let's
back to
really
Star
Star
Wars.
get-
Yeah. Did you guys like them?
I
Because
did. I enjoyed Rise of Skywalker, but I understand like a lot of the frustration people have with it, and I think ultimately, my whole take is that they should have really just ultimately had one visionary person, director / writer, doing all three.
Too many
They
cooks,
should-
yeah.
Too many cooks, and then so once situations happen where like a director drops out or whatever, in this case Colin Trevorrow, and then JJ coming back, which I think JJ did a fine job in Force Awakens, but he tried to put two movies into one, and it was difficult because there
Yeah.
was so much going on.
There was a lot, especially this last movie.
lot happening. Yeah, and so in that sense, it's kind of, it's kind of frustrating. I mean, I enjoyed it though. Like I had a good time. I was just whenever I had to defend it, it was just so.
It gets
was just
hard.
So exhausting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to defend this anymore. I just want it to be what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obvious. I don't know how much you remember. I'm a huge. I talked about last time with you guys how I
Yeah.
cried like when
Yeah.
Force Awakens came. Like I was
Love
like
Force
crying.
Awakens. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it was one of those too many
Yeah.
cooks things. But at the same time, I'm like, this laser sword movie was fun to me. Like this spaceship laser sword movie was
Yeah.
good, which is ultimately,
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard for me to really overanalyze it.
But what's cool about the Star Wars universe is that because of all the divisiveness over the movies, we all can agree on that Mandalorian is the fucking
that was a
shit.
nice-
It's so good.
It is so great.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's arguing with that.
No,
like, everyone's
no.
just like, yeah, more of that,
Yeah,
please.
exactly. And I think that's what they're gonna do.
It's clear that it needs to shift to Favreau and Dave Filoni.
Absolutely.
And like that needs to
If
be.
Taika Waititi
Oh
wants to
my-
do it, then give it to him.
And they've offered him something apparently.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if he, it's a huge commitment, so I'm not sure if
I wouldn't
what
make a
he's
Star
gonna
Wars movie.
say,
If
but-
they asked me to make a Star Wars movie, I wouldn't do it. I mean, they're never going to do it, but I wouldn't do it. Be like,
It's a
nope.
lot.
Let's give
It's
a
a lot.
random fan. Let's give a random fan the reins here. Let's see what he does with it.
Any like kind of huge gear changes for you guys this time around? I mean, I know that's always fun to do and experiment with.
I was really excited about a new bass pedal I got from Strymon.
No,
Change it
yeah.
up. That can change the whole game,
It
right?
was a great one for the pit.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have a good sound for that song. So
Yeah.
nothing major, but it was
Yeah.
major to me.
And are you still on the CNC drums?
Yeah, I still got my kit, my purple and
The,
gold.
the acrylics.
Acrylic.
Gold.
Purple and gold. Sorry, guys. I'm wearing my Lakers shirt.
Oh,
Oh, no.
God. It must be. I'm sorry. It's still.
He's not sorry.
It's
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, wait.
no.
I
I'm
just
well.
meant
I
just in ref-
I go.
Oh,
I'm
no.
like.
Oh my God! I
Sorry.
didn't even. I wasn't
No.
even going
No.
there, but
I was like, oh no. here's-
Yeah.
change gears for a
Yeah,
second.
we're
My-
sorry.
Yeah.
My condolences.
Yeah,
Like,
I didn't
Right.
even know that's what we were
Yeah,
talking
I didn't-
about.
we-
were y'all on tour when that happened?
No, luckily we were at home. I would have.
I was at Disneyland. It was just,
Holy
Oh,
shit.
That's like the
I
worst news to get at
know.
Disneyland.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It was,
How do you
um,
have a good time in the happiest place
It
on
was
earth?
just interesting seeing people as they're finding out during the
Yeah,
day,
I've had-
checking
like,
their
freak
phone,
out.
like they're finding out for the first time,
Yeah.
an hour
Yeah.
after. Just,
Live
I've
react
heard
day.
similar
It
stories. People were
was-
at like a
Yeah.
brewery and there's like a lot of people
Yeah.
there, and you could still people see showing
Right.
people their phones,
Yeah.
and it gets kind of quiet and like ooh,
Yeah.
it's dark.
It's
it
yeah.
sucks.
I was. Yeah. When I was like, I couldn't. I was like, I shut down.
Yeah.
That whole day. Then the following week, I was just
Yeah.
like, I didn't know.
It was like
going
Superman
on.
died.
Yeah.
Like it felt like Superman
it
died.
was so heartbreaking, and especially
With
you
all the
know,
other
with
families
the
and his
families
daughter.
and his daughter. Which in LA, I don't. I mean, if you're a basketball fan, you would know. But especially in LA, like when he retired, he kind of, well, aside from winning that Oscar, he kind of like disappeared
break,
for a
yeah.
little bit, and like he was really kind of just concentrating on other things, not being in the media spotlight. But then like the last year, we just kept on seeing him more at games and like on TV and stuff like that because of his daughter. Because of Gigi, because she wanted to go to basketball games because she loved basketball and she was playing and he was coaching her,
and he get a good seat too.
yeah, and so he started taking her to all these basketball games, and like we started seeing him more, and so when it just happened, it was just like we just couldn't believe it,
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have that kind of lore of like, oh, like Kobe always flew a helicopter to
Helicopter, yeah.
games, when, so that way he doesn't screw up his knees or his back
Right.
in traffic, in LA traffic.
Because he lived in Orange
And
County.
yeah,
right?
because
lived
he lives,
far.
yeah.
Was that the reason? I didn't realize
Yeah.
that was the reason.
Yeah, and so when I heard that, when I was not believing it, but then I heard he was in a helicopter, I was just like, dude,
Oh, shit, yeah.
this makes sense. Like this is, yeah,
Rough.
and so like and it was just LA, I the world too,
Yeah.
absolutely the world, but like LA just had this sadness.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, you're seeing
all through the
tributes
city.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Still, like even a couple days ago, like-
every bus had a R.I.P. Kobe.
Which
Every
is
sign.
crazy.
I saw it on Arby's. It was
Yeah.
like everywhere that had a sign. they
Everywhere that had a
converted it.
sign.
Yeah.
Murals popped up in
Right.
like 48 hours,
Right.
all over LA and Hollywood and stuff like that. it was just, and then I would like go online and I would see like the Philippines doing things, Italy doing things, like all around the world, and it was just like, whoa, this is really affecting.
Yeah, it kind of hits you. Yeah.
Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just like, like that's actually your reaction. Your reaction that you gave me has been that way everywhere that I've gone.
Right.
Because a lot of people know I'm a huge Lakers fan, and and so they're always just, and my kit, my kit's purple and gold.
Sure.
And then I also put a little, KB and Gigi on my my drum, my kick drum head, and every once in a while someone will come up to me and like, dude, I'm sorry, man, that's horrible.
wild.
And I know it's
Yeah,
just
that's so wild.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling because it's like I didn't know the guy, but at the same time,
You kind of felt like
I felt like I did.
Everybody did. Everybody did.
Well, you've been following him for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
That's what it means to be part of a culture in a time, in an era. I mean, he was part of it, and he was just a big thing in it. And for him to, it's like you're feeling a part of yourself, part of your life.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
It's gone. And,
Switching gears, because that's a big old bummer. I have a couple more questions, but I'll let you go soon. I promise.
No worries.
Last time I spoke to you guys, we talked about kind of the change in releasing music and just how Spotify / streaming has really kind of changed the entire process. How sometimes that leads to touring more or touring less in some cases. I'm curious because I know you guys were kind of still like, holy shit, what's going on? And 3 years ago, Spotify was still, it was different. Now it's like an entity. What changes, if any, have you guys thought to make or have had made in your process considering those kind of problems? Because we've heard this from multiple artists who are like, it's harder to put music out. Like, it's harder to make money immediately. Like, the record sales are down, but then streams are up and then tours are like.
Yeah.
So what kind of balance, if anything, have you guys done?
It's interesting because we've been making some special vinyl, and like in that area, I feel like it has gone up because we're trying to make, something special in a vinyl release where, you're not going to get that online at Spotify. So
Okay.
we did a printing run with Bruce Leitcher, who's a famous printmaker, and we're so excited
So
about that.
beautiful,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, and I think but as far as making an album, we don't think any differently. We still think in the terms of like making an album, making it something that's unique piece to itself. Like, we don't want to make pieces of, music,
Yeah,
or
we
at
do.
least we're not at that point.
We're
where
not at that point.
We still want to journey
Yeah.
through an album, so
We have talked about it. Like, we have talked about, like, maybe we should switch it up. Maybe we should just, like, record something quick with, like not quick, but like record a song or two with Butch and then release it just as a single. Like, kind of what more like hip hop type artists do.
Or Kevin
I
Parker
think that's what
randomly.
most people are doing right now, but we haven't.
that way
we want to
can-
hold on to also what we have because we love the idea of this like
Of the album,
journey you're
of
taking.
the-
But also we have started talking about like maybe it would be okay to do
Yeah.
a
And I think
song
for
if
us, we're talking more about more on touring. We want to maybe tour more and kind of just get out there, make more money that way. We've gotten to the point where we're so fortunate. We've been around for 20 years, and this is our 5th album. So we've got like a lot of singles out there, and people know us, and so we can live off of those singles for a while, and maybe concentrate on that, and not so much on not go into the studio right away.
Sure.
And like kind of just like go, there's a lot of, we haven't ventured into the realm of doing full-length albums.
Yeah, now our albums
live.
are coming to the point where they're 10 years out, 15 years
Yeah.
out. So we're like,
So we would
maybe
love-
we'll do like
We would
anniversary.
we would love to do a Pikel Carnivorous tour.
That would be awesome.
And
Wait, it's pronounced Pikel?
and so
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Well,
I have been
15 years later.
I have been correcting people for a long time. Like, it's pickle, okay? It's clearly pickle. Wow.
Oh, you learn something new
oops.
every day.
Wow. Oops. Yeah.
Sorry.
I did my
You should
research.
sue this guy. Can you sue this guy
Yeah,
right now?
apparently.
For fucking,
That would be a great idea.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
we would so we're thinking of like, well, maybe we should like push back a new album and do that instead, you know, and so and that's how we can kind of like you know, financially make things work for us, and you know,
Also
because
nostalgia.
we're not selling
trying
records.
to avoid getting
like,
or getting day jobs. So
albums.
far, we've been lucky, but you know,
Yeah.
we aren't selling as many, you know, digital album, you know,
And no
or just
one
like
is,
CDs,
right.
No one is,
so
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
it's-
in that way, it is does affect us. So
And,
we
and,
have
and I
to-
know, yeah, you guys were talking about that last time. So again, I was just curious, like,
Yeah.
what, you know, it's been a few years now, and there has
Yeah.
been some significant changes in how
Yeah.
things work, like since even then,
Yeah.
like since
Yeah.
then.
ideally,
it's
do you
always
think-
changing, and it's still the Wild West. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
like we kind of. I feel like I've been saying that for a few years now. That like it's the Wild West
Yeah,
out
they're
there.
still
like
trying to
things are
figure out-
changing
Well, how fast it
constantly.
happened,
Things
like,
are, you know.
yeah.
Did y'all hear about that band that put a silent album on Spotify, and they were
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
listen
did
to
hear
it, and
something.
then like, oh fuck, I'm gonna butcher this story, but it made Spotify change their rules because they encourage. I think it was Wolfpack. It was Wolfpack. That's who it was.
Uh-huh.
They put a silent record out,
Uh-huh.
and it was like loop the album. So people, it was
Would
called like
listen to it a
albums to
bunch.
sleep to
Yeah.
or something. So they would loop this silent record. So they were just racking up streams,
Uh-huh.
and they made like an insane amount of money. And Spotify,
And it was just silence.
silence, because there's no rules on that.
Yeah.
Well, if
and
that's what they want for their album,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
And well, they were like, this is ridiculous, so we're going to prove a point. And
Right.
and people looped and slept to it like 9 hours, you know, and so they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Spotify literally had
Isn't
to pull
there-
back.
Isn't there something like an app that's like similar to that, like a little while ago, a short while ago, that it was just like a diamond, and it was like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
$1,000
yeah.
or something to buy this app, and all it was just an app of a diamond, like a
That's
picture of a
crazy.
diamond, and like people were buying
It
it,
works.
like fucking like rich people were buying it because
my
there
God.
was like you know.
It's crazy.
you know, if people are buying whatever,
Exactly,
you know, they're
yeah.
providing a service.
That's the thing, and that's why it ended up. It kind of sparked a debate where it was like, well, wait a
Right.
minute.
What makes a
that's,
song?
Yeah, what makes a
makes a song,
song?
yeah.
Like, if they put it out there, people listen to
Right.
it, they looped it, they're following all of the rules.
Right.
And I don't know what the policy change is, but I think it might be like no silence. Like,
Yeah,
or no
it has to
no
be
silence longer than
Have
something.
air.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's pretty
Weird.
crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's a weird time.
Well, we'll
it's
check
weird.
in 3 years.
Yeah,
You
we'll
know.
see where we're at. Ideally,
Yeah.
what do you think has to change for something like that to be more accommodating for artists who are, you know, I mean, who are putting a lot of music out, and,
Right.
you know,
Well,
really
yeah,
only have
I
a
mean,
platform on streaming.
I mean, there has to be more money for
Yeah.
the distributed to the artists.
Mhm.
I mean, for a start, and I don't know how that's gonna, you know, happen or whatnot, but because everyone seems, well, aside from the artist, everyone seems fine.
Yeah.
For how it's going now, and you know,
Yeah.
but it's. Yeah, it has to change.
something
because-
has to give.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
and because like we were saying, you know, it's, you know, people tour more or artists tour more because they're not making any money selling records, but then because artists are touring more, there's more competition out there to tour,
Right.
and there's so then it gets more complicated, you know, for artists to even do that.
Right. And you're like, should we
Then-
tour less? Like, become
Yeah.
more of a commodity when we do come
Yeah.
back? Like,
yeah, or you know, and I kind of think maybe that's what we were kind of like initially doing, or have been doing, but then now I think our minds are changing, and we're kind of like, okay, you know what, we can make money touring because we have those singles and we have a really good fan base. Like it's we've noticed on this tour and the last tour that we were doing that like our fans have been gotten more rabid. You know, they've been like really loud. They've been, you know,
Really?
they've been great.
And
We've
now
been selling out.
It's nice we now see
places.
generations.
And
like
we're seeing
people bringing their
generations.
kids.
People
Different
bringing their kids,
generations.
yeah.
We're seeing older people, but them bringing their
I mean, our age,
teenage,
and
yeah, bringing their teenage kids.
That's got to be kind of
And
strange,
then,
though, right? Like,
you
you're
know,
like,
and
wow,
so
That's
it's
so
Wow.
nice to see.
that's so cool.
yeah. So so I think more we're kind of like in that kind of like mindset of, okay, well maybe, you know, we can focus on our body of work more than just trying to get a hit on the radio, a new hit on the radio.
Because I think that's never been our focus. We've been lucky that it's happened, you know, a couple times. But
I love it. No,
we're just trying to figure out ways how to, you know, continue making this happen,
doing
because
it.
we're not ready for it to be over. We're still making music, and we want to.
Well, so far so good. Yeah. Do you have anything else, Julian, before we let them go?
I just wanted to ask if there's any other ways that you guys have creative outlets besides the band. Like, I know you guys, like, I mean, you took like what 4 years off between this last album.
Well, we don't take time off. We tour and then we record, and then it's 4 years later. But yeah,
we usually have.
Christopher goes to basketball games.
I go to basketball games. I started. I used to act when I was a kid, and so like I've actually started taking acting classes again on the time off, and like to kind of get my own creative output. Like I love Brian, Nikki, Joe, but it's like it's hard sometimes when you're just like you're this entity.
Yeah, you need your own thing.
You know, you're this entity of, you know, and so it's kind of nice to do something completely like
flex the muscles in other areas.
Like, you know, instead of because
he has new friends.
We work so new friends. We and because we do so much music and we're touring a lot, and so like I get just like I don't know if I can do a side project, or I don't want to. I don't have the energy to do that.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing. And Nikki, you're busy
I have my
with the twins.
7-year-olds, so I volunteer a lot at their school, and I go to museums, or just you know, focus on family, because that's important.
Yes.
Also to focus on yourself and family, and then you can come back to the tour family and band family.
You got to take care of that before you can go back and be
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. It's always so good to see you guys.
Thank you
for
having us again.